Good morning. Ion, day 3. Socrates. I do see, Ion, and in fact will proceed to show you what to my mind it betokens. As I just now said, this gift you have of speaking well on Homer is not an art. It is a power divine, impelling you like the power in the stone Eurydice called the magnet, which most call stone of Heraclea. The stone does not simply attract the iron things just by themselves. It also imparts to the rings a force enabling them to do the same thing as the stone itself. That is, to attract another ring, so that sometimes a chain is formed, quite a long one, of iron rings suspended from one another. There is something magical in that, isn't there? For all of them, however, their power depends upon that lodestone. Just so the muse. She first makes men inspired, and then through these inspired ones, others share in the enthusiasm, and a chain is formed. For the epic poets, all the good ones, have their excellence, not from art. It does feel as if it's Plato speaking here, doesn't it? But are inspired, possessed, and thus they utter all these admirable poems. So is it also with the good lyric poets, as the worshipping Corybantes are not in their senses when they dance, so the lyric poets are not in their senses when they make these lovely lyric poems. No, when once they launch into harmony and rhythm, they are seized with a Bacchic transport, and are possessed as the Bacchants, when possessed, draw milk and honey from the rivers, but not when in their senses. So the spirit of the lyric poet works according to their own report. So the spirit of the lyric poets work according to their own report. For the poets tell us, don't they, that the melodies they bring us are gathered from rills that run with honey, out of glens and gardens of the muses, and they bring them as the bees do honey, flying like the bees. And what they say is true, for a poet is a light and winged thing, and holy, and never able to compose until he has become inspired, and is beside himself, and reason is no longer in him. A poet is a light and a winged thing, and holy, and never able to recompose until he has become inspired, and is beside himself, and reason is no longer in him. So long as he has this in his possession, no man is able to make poetry or to chant. So long as he has this sense in his reason in his possession, no man is able to make poetry or to chant in prophecy. Therefore, since their making is not by art, when they utter many things and fine about the deeds of men, just as you do about Homer, but is by lot divine, therefore each is able to do well only that to which the Muses has impelled him. Each is able to do well only that to which the Muses has impelled him. And to make dithyrambics, other panegyric odes, another choral songs, another epic poems, another iambics. In all the rest, each one of them is poor, for not by art do they utter these, but by power divine. Not by art, but by power divine. I'm not sure if what Socrates or Plato means with having Socrates say these things. Can't imagine he's really. In other places he doesn't speak very well of poetry and poets. We'll see. I just like it, whether he's being ironic or sarcastic or whatever. I do like these beautiful words. Since if they were by art, that they knew how to treat one subject finely, they would know how to deal with all the others too. Well, John always says, apparently, if you are good in one thing, because of your intellectual abilities, you are supposed to be good in everything indeed. So, herein lies the reason why the deity has bereft them of their senses, and uses them as ministers, along with soothsayers and godly seers. It is in order that we listeners may know that it is not they who utter these precious revelations, while their mind is not within them, but that it is the God himself who speaks, and through them becomes articulate to us. The most convincing evidence of this statement is afforded by Tynachus of Chalcis. He never composed a single poem worth recalling, save the song of praise which everyone repeats, well nigh the finest of all lyrical poems. One-hit wonders. And absolutely what he called it, an invention of the muses. I have a friend who sometimes when we listen to music, she's like really into music. And every time we listen to music together, actually, we're just so overwhelmed by the talent human beings have for creating such beauty. Of course, some more than others. He never composed a single poem worth recalling, save the one blah blah blah. By this example above all, it seems to me the God would show us, lest we doubt, that these lovely poems are not of man or human workmanship, but are divine and from the gods, and that the poets are nothing but interpreters of the gods, each one possessed by the divinity to whom he is in bondage. Suppose for a minute that this is true, that there are still gods who possess us. I was speaking to another friend yesterday about Sophia and who she is in the Gnostic texts, and I might not have chosen my goddess very wisely. I thought I'll take a goddess for whom suffering is unknown, but Sophia has suffered quite a lot, and now I am suffering on her behalf. Possessed by the divinity to whom I am in bondage. And to prove this, the deity on purpose sang the loveliest of all lyrics through the most miserable poet. Isn't it so, Ion? Don't you think that I am right? You are indeed, I vow, Socrates. Your words in some way touch my very soul. That's also very... was Socrates just inspired by the muses here? Because that's exactly the quality of words that are inspired by the gods, that it touches our souls. I mean, it was quite poetic what we just read. So was Socrates, as he was saying these things, himself possessed by a god? I imagine Apollo is his god. Your words in some way touched my very soul, and it does seem to me that by dispensation from above, good poets convey to us these utterances of the gods. Your words in some way touch my very soul. Your words in some way touch my very soul. We've all probably had experiences like that. Someone speaks and we're like touched in a part of us that we did not know exist. And a beautiful day.